inside his parents' house. So therefore, it still belongs to Rivka. It's hers to take away from him. And when she gave it to Yaakov, she did that halachically. Therefore, Yaakov is not chayav misa. He did not steal anything, and therefore, the father of the Jews is not a thief. And therefore, Esau was wrong when he paskined according to Shmuel instead of Rabbi Yochanan. So Esau, it's not that he wanted to kill Yaakov. He was a murderer. It's just that he paskined incorrectly according to the Gemara, right? And for that. That error in paskining halacha, that was a one-time screw-up, right? He didn't learn as well as he should have, because why? Because he didn't spend all his time sitting and learning in Beis Midrash like he should have. He was out busy doing what? Flying airplanes for the Israeli military. And this is what happens, right? One time, that's all, but other than that, he was a good boy. That's what it seems, all right? There's nothing that he did that was wrong except giving up the birthright. So what was so bad about giving up the birthright, all right? Can I go into this? Right, because we talked about 25:34. It says that says that he gave up the birthright. So Esau hated being a Jew. He did not want to be a Jew. He wanted to be an Italian. He wanted to be a Catholic, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Right? There's nothing wrong with being an Italian, is there? No, I don't see anything wrong. All my friends are Italians and Catholics, right? He just didn't want to be a Jew. Okay, so how do we know that he hated being a Jew? Because read 25:34. Which book is this?
This is the kosher one.
Is it the one with Revelations? He's in Revelations 11:3.
It's just Revelation. There's no plural.
Okay.
And Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank, got up and left. Thus Esau spurned the birthright.
Okay.
That's spurned, not spurned.
Okay, can you read that a little slower and with less of an Australian accent?
No. Esau spurned the birthright.
No, leading up to that, the whole thing. Go slow. Let's go through it.
Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank, got up and left. Thus Esau spurned the birthright.
He ate, and he drank, and he got up, and he left. Did you just read that?
Yeah.
Let's break it down. And he ate?
Yeah.
What does it mean, and he ate? He ate, but what do we not see? We don't see that he washed his hands first, as you should do before you eat bread. He just gave him the bread and he ate it. He did not wash his hands first. Right? Torah Jews, Jews are supposed to do what?
Wash their hands.
You always wash your hands.
Say
you wash your hands, you make a bracha before you eat bread. Then he drank. It says, and he drank, right? He just drank. What do we do before we drink something?
Say a call.
You say a bracha, we say a blessing before we drink something. So he didn't even do that. And it says he got up. What do you mean he got up?
He didn't bench first?
He didn't bench first. And before we get up, after we eat, what do?
We bench.
We say the blessing after grace after meals. And then he left. And what did he do when he left? He didn't even bother to kiss the mezuzah on the door. So he didn't wash his hands. He didn't make a motzi. He didn't say a blessing. He didn't bench, and he didn't kiss the mezuzah. And he picked himself up and he left. And he gave the finger to being a Jew. And he says he despised the birthright. And there we see what the problem was. Right? He's not a bad boy. He just doesn't want to be a Jew. This stuff doesn't interest him. Right? Right? I know so many frummies, who have kids, and the kids are good, nice guys. Right? They're nice guys. Right? But they're just not interested in Yiddishkeit. Right? It doesn't make them bad boys. Right? They just don't want to wash. They don't want to bench. They don't want to put the fill in, whatever. But they're very, very nice guys. They just don't want to be from. And that's what Esau was.
Only they realized they could be lazy ducks.
What's that?
It's where you only bench on Shabbos. You get a shul for Musaf. You just you still affiliate Orthodox, but you kind of take the lazy way out.
Well, that's all right. The main thing about being from is making sure you keep Shabbos and you keep kosher and you keep Taharas Mishpacha. You keep those three things, you're from. I don't know about these other things. I don't these terminologies. I don't know about them.
So I dig it. Isaac tells Esau, go hunt some food for me and make me a nice dish, and I'll give you this really spiritual blessing. Like what kind of talk is that? Like you'd think you'd tell him, go take a shower and pray and study Torah, and I'll give you a blessing, or stop banging your Hittite wives for 3 days, and shower and I'll come give you a blessing. But go off and go like hunting, which is as goyish as you can get, and then make me a nice dish, then I'll give you the birthright. It just doesn't rub me the right way. And then who's scheming who? Because if Esau had any truth in him, he would have said, Dad, I sold the birthright for some lentil stew because I despise the birthright. But no, Esau doesn't say that. He's just like an impetuous guy who's just like, oh, I want some stew, forget the birthright. But when he thinks he has a chance at the birthright, oh yeah, I'll do what you want. So who's scheming who? And this is how real life is. Real life isn't choices largely between the good, the beautiful, the holy, and on the other hand the wicked, ugly, and evil. Like this is how real life is. It's messy, and so sometimes you have to scheme to get what's coming to you. So like Yaakov is the father of the Jews, and that's what we've often had to do. Like when we were under the Tsar, it was a mitzvah to cheat the Tsar. And when we've been under oppressive regimes, there's nothing wrong with not paying out the taxes to oppressive, cheating regimes. And if you're dealing with a wicked person, then you've got to be ready to be duplicitous. And if you're dealing with a righteous person, you should deal righteously. So,
are you sure that historically we didn't pay taxes when we determined that the regime was oppressive?
Well, you can't say there are millions of Jews, so they all had dozens of, transactions. So I'm sure many of them did pay taxes, and many of them didn't.
Okay, here's the thing.
Just like in America today.
I have read this. There's a halacha in Shulchan Aruch that says that the Medina, that everything in the Medina belongs to the king, okay, or the government, if you will. So, if you don't pay your tax that they asked for, you're stealing from the king.
Yeah, that's like a theoretical halakha, but real people, like in the Pale and living in Russia, struggling to make ends meet.
I understand that, but we follow two laws. Dina de machos bech. Dina de machusa dina. That we have to follow the law of the land. If we're in somebody else's country,
unless the law of the land is evil.
Wait a second. If we're in somebody else's country, and we have to respect their laws. If their law is that they have taxes, we obey that law, and we even have a halacha that everything in a specific country belongs to the king. So therefore, we're borrowing from the king, if you will, by being in that country. If he asks for stuff from us, we have to spit it up. I don't understand exactly how we can avoid paying taxes when we're there and it not violate that halacha. I don't know. That's why I want to know, historically, do you know that Gedolim actually said, don't pay the tax?
I'd have to come back to you on that, but there was a case of a very famous gadol in America who many people said on Shabbat, when there wasn't recording instruments, that you don't have to pay your full amount of taxes in America.
What? Who said that?
I'm not going to say his name. When I find it, I'll just email it to you.
I would like to catch up on that, because everybody that I've ever heard says you absolutely have to pay your taxes. You can take deductions, you can be creative, but that's because everybody in America is allowed to do that. That's part of, the way of the Americans. You go to your CPA, and he shows you how to bury all this stuff, and it's all legal, right? As long as you're following the law on it, that's fine, but you have to pay it.
And it's not just the law as the law is on the books, it's the law as it's practiced in the land. So you're not breaking Dina Malchut or Dina if you drive 66 in a 65 zone.
Oh, that's a whole question too. That's not so simple. Halachically, you're supposed to follow 65.
It's how people operate. So you want to slow down the traffic and everyone's zooming by at 75. You don't have to drive 65. You can drive 75 with everyone else. It's the law as it's practiced in the land. It's not just the law in theory as